Hiya, it's Ash here. I thought I'd do a wee video because for all those that are on my Instagram, you'll probably notice that I'm posting up street art and little snippets about the local legend where I live, known as the Fairy Boy of Leith. And this is like a fairy story which is actually true events um, from the 1660s, where not far from where I live. Um, and basically, the story is about a 10-year-old boy who's been gifted the gift of sight through the fairies. And he is said to the 10-year-old boy every Thursday go on to Carnt Hill, which is not far up to the road from me, um, and he would go and meet the fairies, dance with them, play drums, feast, and all that sort of fun frolics. And he was said to do this in a frolic. He said he did this every Thursday. Um, but yeah, like I'm going to read the full story and accounts from this book here. It's a beauty. It's called Folklore, Myths and Legends of Britain, and it's from Reader's Digest from the 70s, I think. Yeah, from the 70s. And some people have already seen already. I put a snippet of the picture on my Instagram of the Fairy Boy of Leith. So I'll read out the story. Until a comparatively late period in Scotland's history, many of the people believed in fairies. Not even townsfolk were immune, it seems, according to well-documented Leaf story of the 1660s, which tells of a 10-year-old boy whose miraculous gift of second sight was given to him by the fairies. Captain George Burton met the fairy boy and found the boy willing to answer all his questions. The captain's story is reproduced in Richard Burnet's book, A Faineantrum or The Devil's Coster Opened, published in 1684. The fairy boy told Burton that every Thursday night he went to Carlton Hill near Edinburgh, where he entered the hill through a pair of huge gates, visible to only those who had the fairy gift, the second sight. All reveals under the hill. He played drums while the little folk danced. A great company, both men and women, gathered there to be entertained with many sorts of music, while they feasted and drank. Sometimes they flew off to France or Holland and back in a night to enjoy the pleasures of these countries. Well, no plane tickets needed there. And surely it wasn't COVID back then either, so no travel restrictions. It was said that all people in Scotland could not keep the fairy boy from his Thursday night frenziness. So Captain Burton, accompanied by some friends, tried to hold the lad in conversation one Thursday night. They placed themselves between the fairy boy and the door of the room in which they were sitting. But about an hour before midnight, they suddenly realised that he was about to leave the house and brought back to the room once more. Again, everyone watched him closely, but again he endured them and vanished to keep his nocturnal trust on Carlton Hill. Um, that's all it's said about that story, but I've read stories where it goes on to when they drag him back to they see him sneaking out to go to Carlton Hill. Before 12 o'clock, they drag him back to the house and they try to do it again, but he finally succeeds just before midnight. I think it's like a few minutes before midnight, and they decided to follow the Fairy Boy of Leith. And apparently he's seen like wailing and sort of acting as if he's been like sort of entranced, walking up the street heading towards Carlton Hill. Which for all those people who don't know, it's quite renowned to be a fairy activity, Carlton Hill. In the 18th century, there was put a folly, a Greek folly of a temple, along with several monuments dedicated to important folks of the Enlightenment period. But yeah, and also it is the site of the famed Beltane and Samhain fire festivals that go on here in Edinburgh, which is like fucking amazing. There is people dressed like naked, dressed red. They're running around. There's a lot of theatrics, fire performances. There's a May Queen. There's a Green Man, and I believe in like the Samhain one, there's even like influence of like the Koya, and like other neo-pagan sort of influences as well. But at the end of the day, it's performance, and it's a chance that everyone gathers, they drink, they have a good time, and there's loads of stuff that's fun that goes on at the Beltane and the Samhain Fire Festivals up on Garden Hill. And obviously, it's a charged event, but that goes towards people funding and all the stuff that there's quite prices involved because it's quite a performance for how the whole night. It's one of my favourites, and I go to both of them every year. Sadly, because of COVID, it was cancelled last year, but with the restrictions of like um, lockdown, it's fingers crossed they can at least have the Samhain Festival this year. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the story. That's the local fairy story for where I live, and you might see some pictures that I put up on my Instagram of it. So that's all over now. Lessons all.